What's going on, everybody? Zerostrawhats here. I am making a tier list of all the books I've read since the last time I've uploaded on this channel, which has been about a good 2 years. So it's been a while. Hope you guys are ready to enjoy this, kind of know where I've been, what I've been doing. I still enjoy manga, but I've been having way more of an interest in book recently just because it's been a new hobby of mine the last 2 years, and I thought I would update you guys on what I've been reading. I'll be making manga videos again later in the future, but today, just getting you updated on my books, man. I'm going to try and keep it pretty broad as far as the overall story and plot because I don't want to spoil anything. If anything here you guys are interested in seeing more of a elaborate review, let me know, man. I'll be glad to talk about some of these books, especially some of my favorites here. Let's go ahead and get started. For the top 5, I have a rule, okay? For the top 5, my only rule is there's going to be one book per series, because if I don't do that, this top 5 is going to be full of pretty much all Brandon Sanderson. I fell in love with Brandon Sanderson series. So one book per series. Now that does mean, like for Brandon Sanderson, we have some Mistborn, we have some Warbreaker. I could have like different books in his series, in his library of the Cosmere, but only one per a certain series. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. I'm excited to do this, man. So I'm starting here with the Ember and the Ashes, and this one is really big for me because if you watch my last video, I have in that video saying my reading log that I started reading Ember and the Ashes, and since then this has been the start of this big journey of me getting really into books. This has been really fun because before then I was almost completely manga, but because of this series being the one that started this book crave for me, it has to be top 5. Where in the top 5, I don't know where I'm going to put Ember and the Ashes. Okay, so for Ember and the Ashes, it has to be high up there, like I said, 'cause it's the first one. But really, it's a story about two different characters who kind of are living two separate sides of this world, where one is like in the higher society, in like a really high position, and the other one's like in the low position. And their worlds kind of intertwine a little bit. It's really cool. It's a fantasy young adult series, and I don't want to spoil too much about this particular series, so I'm not going to go too deep into the actual stories, like I said. But Ember and the Ashes is an amazing series, both for the characters, both for the world, and it has really likable characters, and even like I want to say like magic system, but like the system of fighting in this story is really cool too. So I really like Ember and the Ashes. As far as the other books, so out of the 3, I'm putting the first one in the top 5 out of the 3 just because it's the one that got me into it, like I said. But for Sky and Storm, I'm gonna put it B, because out of the that's opposite. B for this one, the second book in the series. The second book in the series was really good, but there is a part of the story that can get a little bit dragged on, so that's why I kind of put it in B. And then the final, I'm putting in A because it was great. I want to put this one in top 5 because it was really good. I really like the finale of the series, but I only putting one in per series, and the beginning is really what got me into it. So I'm putting Ember and the Ashes there. By the way, some of these books are audible. Some of these were read. Some of these were a mixture of both. So not all of them were like all the way read through, like through book, I guess. Next is the reason I'm really making this video, guys. Next is the reason that I really am excited to start making YouTube channels again. Mistborn, man. I love Mistborn. I love Brandon Sanderson. I'm super deep into The Way of Kings right now, so I'm going through that series. It's not going to be on here because I'm not finished with it. But Mistborn, not only is it top 5, it's going to be number 1 in the top 5. Actually, no. Okay. Actually, let me start with this. Well of Ascension, which is the second book in the Mistborn series, I'm going to put in the top 5. That's kind of controversial for some people. People either love Will of Ascension, the middle book in the series, or they don't like it at all. For me, it is my favorite in the series. 1, because of the characters really grow, and 2, because of the last half of this series, of this book is like so epic. So out of all of them, number 2 is my favorite. But to go back into Mistborn in general, both of these have to be an A because they're both great books. Gosh, they're so, like, even having those 2 books not in top 5, it feels so wrong because I love this whole series. But to give you a brief idea of what Mistborn in particular is about, Mistborn is a series about pretty much this world where there's like an emperor kind of like the Avatar almost, and the main crew is trying to like overthrow the Emperor kind of. And what's really cool about it is the magic system, where like these people can ingest metals, and when they put the metals inside their body, they give them different powers. The main character in the series, Vin, is a Mistborn who has the power to consume and use more than one metal, which is really cool. And like I said, I'm not gonna go too deep in this series. I really want to. I'm definitely 100% making a video about Mistborn in particular, because I love Mistborn. I love Brandon Sanderson. Vin, Kelsier, Sazed. There's just so many amazing characters and world building, and it has it all. It's really like the Avatar, but in my opinion, better. So that's how I would rank it. This next whole series here is made by the same creator. Lee Bardugo. Sorry, I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Sorry. But these books right here has been the longest since I've not the longest since I've read them, but it's been like kind of in that middle area where like it's harder for me to remember exactly what happened in each book individually. Out of the three of them, so this is book 1, 2, and 3. There's also a Netflix series. Netflix series is pretty good. Out of the three of them, it's a little bit tough for me. I think my favorite one's actually the third in this one. So I'm going to put the third in low A. By the way, I like Mistborn 1 better than Mistborn book 3. I like the ending is great, but I like the first one just because how well it sets up the world. I think book 2 is kind of like similar to the Ember and Ashes series, where there's a lot of it where it kind of drags on for me in this series. And then Siege of Storm. Actually, no, sorry, this is book 2. Sorry, guys. I got like this one's a little bit mixed up for me. Book 2 so this is the first one. That one I would put in B. Gosh, I can't remember. I think this is the third one. If this is the third one, then it's A. And then this one, the second one, would be B. Like, I like this series, but it's not my favorite. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna put this series in general. I'm not gonna talk too much about the Six of Crows series because it wasn't personally one that I really liked that much. I'm gonna put it in C. I think that they're good books. I just didn't like them as much as the originals. And I don't know. Like, I like the characters. The characters are really enjoyable. I'm actually enjoying a lot of the characters in the live action to this series, like Kaz. But I can't put it much higher than that. I don't know. It's one of those series where, like, when I'm looking at the series I've read, this is one of the ones where I don't think about as much. Like, when I was making this list, I kind of almost forgot about these. Not that they're bad books. They're just not my favorites out of the this series. But this one, Midnight Library is gonna okay, so Midnight Library I'm gonna put in top 5 for now, but it could definitely move down. By the way, these aren't all the books I've ever read, okay? These are the books I've read since the last time I made a YouTube video, right? So there's different books in here that would be in here if it was my top 5 of all time. But the Midnight Library I really like. It's just a really different story. I read a lot of fantasy, but this fantasy series felt very different because it's really about a character who is just really sad in life, and I've been there before. All of us have been there before, right? And it's this really cool premise where, like, she's thinking, like, what if I did this differently? What if I did that differently? And she really gets that opportunity to go inside these different worlds through this Midnight Library, where she's able to experience different choices in her life she's made. And it was just such a cool premise, and it really hit me hard, honestly, just because, like, I've felt that before, you know. I felt like, what if I did this? What if I did that? So for this book in particular, I don't want to spoil too much about it, but it's one that really resonates with me a lot, and really, not only it was an interesting premise, but really was just something that I really enjoyed. Both me and my fiance both really enjoyed this book. We had a nice, good conversation about Midnight Library. So I know it's not for everybody. The morality, or if this is right, if this is wrong of it, can be you know, up to each person's own view, but I really personally liked it. Sorry, people. This next series is the Alloy of Law, Brains of Morning, Shadow of Self. So these are Mistborn Era 2 books. Okay, so if you haven't read Mistborn Era 1, definitely read Mistborn Era 1 over here. 1, 2, and 3. And then after that, come back and read Era 2. I don't have the Lost Metal on here yet because I haven't read that yet. I heard that it's better to experience Um, I heard it's better to experience The Ways of King, like that whole trilogy, or I guess there's more than three, series before you finish that one, so I'll come back to it later. I really did like Mistborn 2. Mistborn 2, it takes the premise of like these magic powers, but it like puts it in a more modern setting, and it's really cool how they did it. Out of these books, so since this is part two, by the way, I'm allowing one of these ones to be in the top. Shadows of Self is definitely top five. Oh my gosh, the twist and the turns and the callbacks and everything related to Shadow of Self. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to reread this book. This was a really, really good book. I love Wax and Wayne, by the way, the new characters in this series. They're both really good. If you listen to the Audible version, Wayne's voice is amazing. Michael Kramer does an amazing job, like he does with all of his work. So that one's definitely up there in the top five. Alloy of Law, very good start. Very good start. But it's not my favorite out of the three. It's either B or A. I'm going to put it in B for now. Bands of Morning's amazing. I'm going to put it in A. And I'll come back and like adjust those a little bit right now, but first let's keep going. Okay, here's where I kind of switched up my bag a little bit here. So I got a little tired of all this fantasy. Wanted to switch it up and do a little bit more of like a romance series. So I have two romance series back to back here. This aren't necessarily in the order I read them, by the way, though. But all this time, low B for me. Low B. Like, it's a good book. The twist I kind of saw coming. But it was a lighthearted read, a nice change of pace from what I usually read. I personally enjoyed it. I could definitely see how like more of an adult audience wouldn't like it. It's definitely more of like a teen book for sure. But I found enjoyment out of it. I really did. It's definitely B. I couldn't put as far as C because I don't think it's necessarily better than some of these books, but like for what it was a good change of pace for me at the time, and that's why I kind of put it here. Ugly Love. So this is a Colleen Hoover book, right? And she's like a really popular author. This genre, by the way, is like way out of what I usually read, or really like both in manga or in books. But I'm gonna put it here, and I know some people might not like that. I read it all the way through. I didn't drop it, but it personally wasn't for me, and I'm not the biggest straight up romance fan, so that's probably why. Also, I think the thing that bothered me most about this, okay, sorry fans of this series, you're probably going to hate me for it, but some of the characters in this series felt super, like, made up book characters. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't feel like they were real people. There were some people in here that were, like, so obviously doing what they were doing for the plot, you know? And wouldn't be how real people would act, I feel like. And that's why I put it lower. Not necessarily the romance, not necessarily the ending, just because certain characters, especially the main character's brother, I just felt like was really just a bland character. I don't know. Didn't really, not too many of those characters stick with me. Okay, These Silent Words. This one, okay. These Silent Words has a special place for me because I read it mostly with my fiance, and we talked about it a lot, and it was a good experience kind of doing that together. So because of that, I would probably put it higher than I would otherwise. I'm gonna put it high B. It's really cool little, it's one of those series where like sometimes not a lot's happening, but the author says it in a interesting way that makes it interesting, even though it's not. I mean, not that it's not interesting, but like they just make these like little like daily stuff interesting, and kind of what The Silent Words is about. Sorry, sometimes I'm not really explaining the whole plot of this series. If you want, like I said, you want any more information about any of this series, let me know. The Silent Words is more about a father and a daughter who are living in a cabin together, and why they're living in a cabin is a mystery, but they've been living there for a very long time by themselves, and that's kind of all I really want to say about it, because everything else you could kind of experience for yourself. Okay, where do I want to go next here? We can keep this going in order, I guess. Okay, Elantris. So I read Mistborn first, Mistborn, AO1, and then I needed a break from Mistborn before I went to Air 2. So I went to Elantris. And a lot of fans of Brandon Sanderson tell me that Elantris isn't the best because it's just like his first work, and Brandon Sanderson wasn't really that great of a writer yet. Like, he was still good, but not great. I don't know. Like, if this is his worst work, I mean, I love Elantris, man. And like, I hear there's a possibility of Elantris 2, which I would really love. All I'll say about Elantris is like, there's this city where it used to be like this really well-off city, and now people get sent there to pretty much die, and our main character gets sent there, and it's really good. It's a really good series. I really like Elantris. It's really good. I don't know why people don't like it as much as some of the other ones. High, B, or A? I'm gonna put it in A, and like I said, when I'm done, I'm gonna go back and adjust some things here a little bit. Warbreaker. Oh, I'm looking at what we have left. Warbreaker has to be top 5. I love Warbreaker, man. So my only complaint about Warbreaker, if you haven't read Warbreaker yet, or even if you have, is it needs a sequel, man. People say this is like its own series. You don't need to have a sequel. It needs a sequel. Oh my gosh, like, so many things I still want to know more about this world. So many things. It's this really cool magic system where like they use colors, and they can like extract colors from objects and like use it to do certain things. It's really cool. It was a really nice change of pace from like the Mistborn series, and one that I'm really looking forward to rereading and getting a sequel to, man. We need that sequel. Warbreaker, really good book. And Lightsong in particular, one of my favorite characters in like any of these books. I really, really liked Lightsong. So he's probably, like, if I was to make a character list, he would probably be top 5. Sorry, sometimes these book covers aren't the best. This name of the book is called All My Rage. This is by the same creator who made all of the Mistborn series. I mean, sorry, not Mistborn, the Ember and the Ashes, that whole series. Saba Tahir, she made this one. This is not fantasy. This is like a real life story. And it was really good. It not only was it good because it is about a culture that I don't know much about, but it was cool because it was just a good story about, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's a good story about like just normal people's lives and what they go through and the consequences for what they do. And I liked it. It's a really good book. And it was really cool because I didn't know what to expect from Saba Tahir's fantasy coming over to this. I wasn't sure if it was going to like hit the writing style was going to translate over to me very well, but I loved it. It has to be an A. Ooh, I'm actually seeing a problem here, top 5. I'll come back to that. All right. Next, we got Fairy Tale by Stephen King. I'm gonna put this low B, maybe high C. I'm gonna put a high C. Okay, here's my thing with Fairy Tale. Okay, I've never read Stephen King. I know he's a very popular author. I need to read more of his stuff. The first half of the story was truly like the first half of the story was like the story. It would be A tier, maybe top 5. Like legit, I loved the slice of life story that we got in the beginning. And even though a lot wasn't actually happening at times, it was just really well told, and the writing style was just so good. I really enjoyed it. The second half of the book, it gets a little more fantasy driven. The fairy tale part of it comes in, and although I liked it, I never liked it as much as I liked the first half. And I was always just kind of waiting for the book to come a little bit back more to the way it was in the first half. And it never did. And I liked it. And I really liked the characters, especially in the first half. But I have to put it lower because the second half kind of fell off for me personally. And it's kind of interesting to say that because I am a big fan of fantasy, right? So I thought like I would love the second half, but the first half was just so nice. It was a good read. Now this one's kind of different. I don't really know how to rank this because it's not really like a storybook, but I added it on here anyways because I read it. This is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm just gonna put it in A, and I'm not gonna say much about it. It's a good self-help book. Read it. You should read it. So the next two are the Game of Thrones books. I think this is the first one. This is the second one, right? So I've only read 2 of the Game of Thrones books. I have finished the whole series. I love Game of Thrones. I hate the ending. I think we all hate the ending. But the 2 books were good. I'm putting them in A. Yeah, I'm putting them in A. I really like Game of Thrones. If this was like the TV show as a whole and what Game of Thrones means to me, these books would be at least top 5 somewhere. But I think out of the books that would be top 5, the next book, which I haven't read yet, probably would hit that top 5 because that's the one that I really like a lot. But it's Game of Thrones. I don't need to talk much about Game of Thrones. Y'all know Game of Thrones. It's amazing. Except for the ending. Gosh, what happens with the ending? Alright. Almost done here. We got Legends and Lattes. This was a good book. This one is one of my favorites as far as like just a nice change of pace. A lot of people talk about Legends and Lattes. If you haven't read it, you should. It's pretty much about a book about this orc who is tired of like being like this dungeon crawler person who does all this, looting and whatnot, and decides to give that life away and move to a small town and open up a coffee shop. And it's awesome. It's a great book. I love it. There's a second one out. Excited to read the second one. This was such a fun read. I have way too much in A tier. I have to move some of this down. I think I'm gonna move this series just in particular down, and I'll move that around. But okay, let's get done here. 'Cause I don't want to make this video too long. All right, so we got Parachutes. Parachutes is another one of those books where I really liked it because it brings a light on a culture and a circumstance that I don't know about. It's pretty much about someone who's from China who comes to America to go to school, and their experiences both living in school, in high school, and like the struggles they go through. It can get pretty deep at times, and me and my fiance both read this book, and it was one of those books where we were able to have a very nice conversation about. I really recommend reading this one. It's just a really good book. If high school settings isn't really your thing, I think this one still might find enjoyment from because of the other aspects of the story. And I like this one a lot. High B for now. It might go to A. So there's actually a book here I forgot to add. That's why it dropped is so low. Because there's only 2 books I dropped. But this is the first one. World War Z. Okay. I didn't like World War Z. I know it's a popular book. I know people like it, but it didn't do anything for me. I'm not gonna lie. I think the interview style was just kind of not my cup of tea. It just didn't really grab me. And I like zombies. I like the zombie setting, but this book just didn't do it for me. Sorry, it didn't do anything for me. I know some people really like it. There was another book here I did forget to add on here called Book Lovers, which was like a romance series that also was dropped. It's not on here, but it was just a romance series that never really caught my eye. I read like half of it, and it never, like none of the characters ever really gripped me. The story didn't really grip me, and I ended up dropping it. Okay, here's where we have trouble. The Emperor's Soul. This is a short novella made by the creator of Mistborn and Warbreaker, Brandon Sanderson. And it's freaking awesome. Like, I don't want a sequel. I don't really want anything else like from it. It was a short, sweet, awesome, contained story. Some of the best personal writing Brandon has done. And usually with Brandon, I'm like, I want more. I really just like it the way it is. It's such a great story. This is top 5. I have to move something out. And I think out of the top 5 here, I'm debating taking out Midnight Library or Ember in the Ashes. No, I can't take out Ember in the Ashes. I think I'm going to take out Midnight Library. Put it in A. So now that we got this done, let's quickly change things up a little bit. Alright, quickly change things up. So for number 1, I'm going to put The Will of Ascension. Number 2, I'm going to put Ember Ashes. I like that. I think I'm going to... Oh, God. You guys probably think I'm such a Brandon fanboy. Because I just realized how much of the top 5 is all Brandon Sanderson. Gosh. Brandon Sanderson's truly one of my favorites. I'm sorry, guys. I did not even realize how much of it was Brandon Sanderson. Gosh. I think I'm gonna go with Shadows of was just too good. I think I like it like that. That's my top 5 right there. The Word of Ascension, The Mistborn, Ember in the Ashes. Although some of these series I think are better written than Ember in the Ashes, Ember in the Ashes has to be number 2 just because it started this whole book journey for me, and it's just a good book. Shadow and Self, Warbreaker, Emperor's Soul. Okay, Emperor's Soul right there. Nice. Okay, let's quickly go over here. Mistborn series in general would be high. Like that. I think I like this. Maybe like that. I don't really know how to rank this. I'm just gonna put it here. I'm gonna move this over to B. Ooh, I think this is fine here. Parachutes. Let's move that here. Boom. Actually, no. Keep parachutes there. Parachutes was just too good. I think I would put some of these down. I think out of all of the Alloy of Law books, this one was the worst. I mean, out of all of the Mistborn Era 2 books, this one was the worst. It was still good though. Alright, let's keep it like that, guys. Alright, I don't want to keep this too long. That's my list of everything I've read since the last time I made a YouTube video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys like this video and if you want me to do these kind of videos again or have anything of interest in any of these series. I would love to talk about it. Probably we'll talk about Mistborn in the future. We'll also do some more manga and anime content, and you can expect some gaming from me too. So I'm kind of back to doing a little bit of YouTube. Excited to be back. Hope you guys have a good day.